Oh, new sound effect,
Yeah,
huh?
we did it.
All
We did a
right.
new one this time around. I wanted to throw you off a little bit. It is
Uh,
Friday, as the kids say. At least my kids. Fraser, I want to tell you
okay.
something. So yesterday, we have this thing right now. So my twins are almost 3,
Mm-hmm.
and right now we're working like making sure they stay in their beds. They like to
Mm-hmm.
to jump up and run our way. So we're working really hard.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, 3 nights in a row in your room, Dad is gonna take you to the store. Whoever does it first, by
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. So it was my son who did it first. So yesterday, took him to the store. We took my car, and then I was like,
Mm-hmm.
pick any song you want. He said, Dad, I want to listen to Excavator. This is
Mm-hmm.
a song by a guy named Blippy. He's like a huge crave in our space, and
Yeah.
it's like a kids song. It's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this morning I wake up and stressful morning, very stressful morning. Kids were screaming. A lot was
Yeah.
going on. I had a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I get in my car and I'm frustrated. I'm sitting in my car and I'm like, oh my God, that was crazy. And then all of a sudden, blasting real loud turns on the Excavator song. And when I tell you, Frazier, it put the biggest smile on my face. Y'all, it is so silly how the
Yeah.
simplest things can
Yep.
change your attitude. I just needed to share that with the world because I thought
Mm-hmm.
today was going to be just one of those negative, woe is me days. We all need them. Yes, even me. People think I'm a robot. I'm not. But that changed my entire demeanor today. And I wanted to make sure I shared that little story with our group today.
Yeah, no, that's important, man. And also what you just show is just kind of almost the ridiculousness of our brains and how they work, right? And also showing you that you don't have to move a mountain to change your day, right? You just have to make those connections. So you just proved it, man. It's great.
It is. I thank you for letting me share that. I almost sent you the song this morning, but I was like, he's gonna think I'm an idiot. Like if I
Yeah.
send this to him right now. All right, action packed today, my friends. First topic that we have here is really simple. It's been talked about here quite a bit. The UWM stocks. We've
Mhm.
been talking about it. We've been seeing posts about it, and I have my take, Fraser. I want to start with you on this. Just
Okay.
we're seeing a lot of movement in the markets in general for
Mhm.
mortgage companies across the board. But what did you see? What's your take? And I want to give my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my take, and this may surprise some people or maybe not, but like my take is really simple. Is I really don't care, right? And and look, it's not that I don't care, but I don't care in the ways that other people in our industry seem to care about it. Right now, there are some things from like a balance sheet, capital markets, and things of that nature to look at. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I look at it, is this really going to affect what I do one way or another, right? And is this going to affect how I do business one way or another? And guys, look, I know it's different for me than you because you either may be a UWM shareholder, right? You may be a UWM partner. You may put a lot of your loans at UWM, whatever the case may be. So then you're thinking about, all right, this, that, all the things that because you get headlines. Because here's the thing, my friends, like the problem is when you're a front runner, right? Is that you have nowhere to go but that, you know what I mean? Like you're just going to be there. And so you're not going to win all the time, right? Like things are going to happen. But what I would, and look, I get all the talk and I get all of these things, and it's not like I just want to gloss over them. But my question simply is like, what is the true effect to you? Is it something to keep an eye on? Sure. Like, earnings, we have it all the time. And I'd also argue with the exception of like maybe two, most publicly traded mortgage, IPOs and stuff like are not what, people thought they would be. Um, Not surprising, but ultimately is how does that really affect your business? Does it affect your business at all? Does it affect what you're going to do today? Because ultimately, those are the things you can control. And one thing that I tell my members is that you got to have two columns, right? You have columns of concern and you have columns of control. But your key every single day is to spend as much or the highest percentage of your time in the control column, right? The concern column would be like maybe UWM's, financial health, right? Maybe a concern column is rates. Maybe it's market conditions, whatever it happens to be. Maybe that is a concern. But if you're 80% concerned, your time on crap that you can't control or do anything about, then what's left for the things you can control that's actually going to put money in the bank? So that's, that's how I look at it. Because here, and this is also another reason, right? Is that, look, we already have a lot of distractions with AI, right? We already have a lot of distractions with who's up, who's down, who's doing this, who's buying that, or whatever. And it's only going to continue that way. And to me, this is just another one of those things. Right. And so, and of course, because it's Rocket and UWM, there's going to be a back and forth, always. Right. It was before the ultimatum. It's not like people act like this is like a new thing. This is just always going to be the two big dogs, slugging it out like it should be, right? But here's what I'll tell you. Well, I can't really say this now because I think every soft drink is either owned by Pepsi or by Coca-Cola, right? So I don't know what it is, but it would be like, you know what I mean? If like Pepsi and Coke are slugging it out and I'm like Zevia, right? Like, am I really paying attention to it? No, like let them slug it out and let me carve my own thing. So that's kind of how I look at all of this thing. And I would say, look, it's something to look at. I knew a lot of people that are like, hey, buy the dip, right? So a lot of people that, that did buy. I even took some myself because why not? And look, I've known Matt a long time, right? And look, I'm not saying I've known him like we're best friends or anything, but I've known him. I've been around him. I've had him on my podcast. He talked about all this stuff before any of it happened, before Blink was a thing, he told me exactly what he was going to build and what he was going to do in this on our podcast, and this is you're seeing all of it, right? So one thing that I will say is because I came up with a lot of good minds, right? A lot of what I would call killers in business. And, Matt's definitely one of those guys. And so I just would never, ever bet against one of those guys. And that's kind of how I look at it.
By the way, Sevilla is not owned by Pepsi or Coca-Cola.
All right, did I make? I was like
did
trying to
look it
figure.
up. I wanted to look that up. Yeah, you got the right one. You literally picked the best one you could have picked. They have been independent since 2007.
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, whatever. Dax, we need like a Jimmy Neutron. Like whenever we hit something big like that, like something high level, we need like a Jimmy Neutron-esque type of. You're the man. Thank you, Dax. We'll take that one. Thank you very much. Yeah, that was awesome. I looked it up. I said, I wonder, do they own it?
Yeah.
No, so I hear everything that you're saying in this case, right? Where like it's like, okay, does it really impact you? Does it not? Obviously, if you're a shareholder, if you own stakes, yes, I get it. It impacts you in a certain way. For me, this is twofold. Number one, I had Rob Piccolo on not long ago. Tiffany Pelton said, Sevilla's the best.
It is. It's awesome.
It really isn't bad at all. It really is not,
good.
honestly. It's a good pick. We've been thinking about that all day. Now, this to me is two parts, okay? I want to get into both of these parts on my end. UWM, the only way that they can make money is through origination. There are no other verticals with UWM. Like if you look at the way they're structured in the public sector, if you look at the way they're structured, there's no other way for them to capitalize and make money unless they are helping loans go through that funnel and go through that engine. So for me, the biggest thing is they are all in on the broker channel. And so when I see people like excited about the stock that are brokers, I understand why some retail folks, like you said, right? Like the retail, I get it. I get why they would post it, why they would attack it. Totally makes sense. This is just the art of war, right? Like if you really want to think about it, we're all about it. I love competing in that sense. But for other mortgage brokers, that to me is just difficult to watch, especially when it's about a company that really helped put the mortgage broker community on the map. You can talk to everybody. They will tell you UWM helped press forward very heavily. So that's a little disheartening, but hey, you know what? So is the rest of the world at times. You're going to get disappointed. That was frustrating for me to read. But at the end of the day, yes, there is a lot of moving parts right now. I did a secondary session with Rob Piccolo, and there's a lot that goes into it when it comes to how to navigate the public markets. There's a lot, especially right now, when it comes to volatility. So I looked at certain things, certain wins that we could look at, that we could find. One of the big wins is DSCR. UWM leads all of DSCR, it looks like, across the board right now. And also, they just did it looks like a partnership, I think I read, with Oaktree. So I am going to watch it closely. I'm not going to give anybody stock advice, but to me, that's a winner. UWM is a winner. Like they're going to figure this out like they figured out everything else, and they're going to figure it out quickly. Like my favorite thing is the people that think like listen, I am not going to sit there. I get to talk to Matt on occasions. I've told y'all, right? Like very rare occasions, I'll get 10, 15 minutes a one-on-one. Never once have I talked to him and been like, oh, this guy's going to quit. Like I've never just felt that about him where he's like, all right, yeah, this is okay. Great. Now it's bad. Yeah, no, he wakes up and goes, all right, what's next? How do we do this again? What's the next thing that we do? What's
Mhm.
the next play that we do? What's the next opportunity that we have? So that's where my head goes with it. I'm excited to see where they go. I know they're going to go up. And so I can't wait to continue to watch it. Rest of the broker community, take a look at it, stay close to it, ask questions. We're definitely not saying don't ask questions, but get to the sources and ask real high level questions. And if you're waking up to just get excited to see somebody like have a bad day, well, you got other things you got to worry about, in my opinion. So that's where I'm at with that. Frazier, this next one's all you, big dog. Recruiting, recruiting, recruiting. You have been on a tear. One, I think your social media engagement has skyrocketed. I don't want to assume anything, but you have gone nuts over the last. You usually go nuts, but the last 2 weeks you've put a
Yeah.
difficult, a
Yeah.
much more, a bigger emphasis on the recruiting side, especially after we had our conversation, I think 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
Can you walk us through what you're hearing, what you're seeing?
Mhm.
Because I saw you post so many different brokers are reaching out to you. And these are high level
Oh
brokers
yeah.
doing 100+
Yep.
million dollars in business. What are you
Yep.
hearing?
Yeah. I think it comes down to this is that, and guys, look, and I'm just going to say this to all leaders, right? And it's not like you guys don't know, but like you guys just get too geeked up to like really like kind of stand down and look at this space. I'll just tell you right now, the field is just sick of kind of like the recruiting tactics back and forth. I'll just tell you straight up, right? And some of them like, well, we're because here's the thing, and I say this to loan officers when it comes to like, I can't believe this company does volume. I can't believe that loan officer does volume and all that stuff. Guys, shelter is a basic necessity, right? Meaning that people are going to go to people that maybe are not as good as you, not the best price and all of that, right? Because it's a necessity. So they're going to go with who they trust, right? Or who they feel the most connected with, right? And so, but it's a necessity. And so it's not like you're selling a product that someone could just like not have or have, right? People need a roof over their head. And so that's going to drive a lot of volume. It's not your great marketing. It's not because you're awesome. It's because, hey, you just happen to be the person and they don't want to go and look around anymore and you seem trustworthy. That happens, you know it because you've bought something like that before with someone. I've done it. We've all done it. That's consumerism 101, right? Now, when I take this to the recruiting and some of the shop, some of the I won't say shops, but like some of the teams and groups, retail and brokerages, their biggest thing is they don't trust any of you, right? They don't trust your recruiters. They don't trust the dialers who know really nothing about the industry. Guys, stop buying or not buying, but stop hiring people from like, and I don't know who my company. And look, I'm raising my hand on a lot of this stuff because we had a shitty recruiting department too, and not and don't get me wrong, like they were nice people, but we got them from like Oracle and so we got them from like other industries, right? I'll tell you right now, a loan officer hates talking to a recruiter just pretty much in general, but they also hate talking to someone that doesn't understand their business and understand how this industry works, right? So I'll tell you straight up, right? Because I've been posting about it, whatever, and and look, and the people that I have been referring these people to, they know exactly what I'm talking about. They know I'm 100% right on this, but they just don't trust it, right? Because all you see is one brokerage saying they're not transparent, they don't do full comp. That brokerage comes back at this one saying they don't not transparent, they're not full comp. You have people for you that are shouting from the rooftops about their brand, about your company and your brand, and they're really not the best face for that either. They're not a trusted person for it because it's like, oh, they just want to recruit, put me in there, get rev share, downline, the whole deal, right? And again, this isn't about the model, and that's what I'm trying to say that over and over again. This has nothing to do with the models, right? The model is the model. So let's just not have a nutty about it, right? The model is the model, whether you like it or not. And so ultimately, they come to me is because they know that I have no skin in the game. I get paid nothing from any company to put a loan officer with them. And I never just give, unless a loan officer says, hey, can you connect me with someone at what X, Y, and Z company, or can I get some feedback? Happy to do it, right? But like when someone comes to me, I just go to the people I know, the people I trust, the people that I have put people there before, the people that I have maybe members in my group that are part of those. And I say, and I tell, and I'm straight up to everyone, and anyone that's come to me, they'll tell you the same. Like, I give them like 4 or 5 options, right, based off of what they tell me. But I also say, like I said, here's some other ones. I just can't tell you whether they check those boxes or not, or I don't have any connection. Right. So like, and I'll just, say it just straight up. For example, Barrett and C2, I don't really have a relationship with either one of those brokerages. I have members there. So sometimes I'll refer like someone to one of those members if they're interested in like a Barrett or a C2, but I don't have any personal connection with the owners like I do with the other ones. Right. So I can't, I don't really know like the in depths of their model. So I'll say like, hey, what you're saying kind of sounds like a Barrett or a C2 or whatever. So like go there. But the reason they come to me is because they're like, I can't do it anymore because I don't know who to trust, and honestly, I don't trust anyone. I need someone that is agnostic, someone that is independent, someone that's not getting paid to do it. Now, of course, I have people who are like, hey, I don't mind paying you, and I'm like, that just takes away like kind of like my biggest, advantage, I guess you would say, right, in the community is the fact that I don't get paid. And so, one is your recruiter. People will be like, "Well, we do recruit. We just added like 50 loan officers, or 10 loan officers, or whatever," and that's in spite of your efforts, right? And there has to be either they needed to do it, you were the person they just trusted most, or there's an internal relationship there, right? And so when you're looking at recruiting, I just the amount of people that have come, and Jonathan knows at least one of them, because I was just letting him know like kind of what I'm seeing. But like guys, like again, these aren't like onesie twosie, like these are like real players, and you would think they would go to some of these, but they don't know, especially on the retail side. These are like, I don't know about any of these brokerages, but you think just because you're posting content, you're putting stuff out there or whatever, they're not. But unfortunately, some of the reputation is preceding you, which automatically discounts you before they even get the water. So I'm here to say that all of you need to step out your recruiting game. You need to be a little less, cars salesmanship and a little bit more relationship, right? And again, nothing against car salesmen or anything. They're probably some of the best salesmen you're ever going to meet, right? And but ultimately, that's not what brokers need right now. They need someone they could trust. They need to know that because no loan officers don't want to move to another company after 90 days or 30 days or 60 days, right? Uprooting especially if you've been somewhere for years, right? Like, so you got to take that real. And so now, and again, this is why I refer to who I do, because I know they're not going to give them any BS. I know they're going to give them a real story, because they know if they don't, then I'm not going to send anybody to them anymore, because that's my reputation. Right. I can't say it's going to be X, Y, and Z, and then I send it, and then the conversation is completely different. The people I send it to, they respect that. They do that. Sometimes there's a fit, sometimes they're not, but they always know that I'm not back there pulling the strings to one way or another. I'm saying, these are great people. This looks like it checks the box with you. You do your stuff. Remember, you're interviewing them, not them interviewing you. Right? Go out there, be confident, and then find the best place for you, and forget the noise, and I'll tell you this, and I'll wrap it with this. So I can't remember. The Real's a whole
Yeah,
other
can you
thing. We
touch
could get
base
it.
on that for a
Yeah,
second too
yeah,
before you
yeah.
end it?
I'll get that after this. But guys, like when it comes down to when someone's deciding whether they want to go here or want to go there or whatever it happens to be, right? Ultimately, it comes down to alignment. And so if you're recruiting and you're trying to add people, you need to be putting stuff out there about why you're aligned, not the best. Because who else is going to say? Everyone's going to say they're the best, right? I would expect you not to say anything different. So you gotta make that real. And speaking of real, so I put that out there yesterday, and it's funny because there's so many people. And look, in full disclosure, One Real Mortgage was a client of mine last year, and so I worked closely with them for about 6 months, half a year, and helping them with some compliance and marketing and messaging and stuff like that. They I got a couple calls saying, "Hey, did you know Real's getting in the lending?" I'm like, "Well, they've been in the lending. They bought a mortgage broker by Samir Dedia, and he's no longer there, by the way. But I worked with Samir, and actually, and Jonathan,
Great
you met
guy.
Samir, at the mastermind we did, and so um, so all those mortgage people are gone, and so what they're doing is they're taking the EXP playbook on how EXP built such a great referral network and recruiting network. They're doing the same thing at Real on the agent side, but this is how it goes. So an agent be like, so I'll just use Dave because Dave commented, is like, hey Dave, look, you're a great loan officer. I love working with you. I have an opportunity for you. Like, you can join Real at One Real Mortgage as a loan officer, right? We could then work more closely together. You can then help me with recruiting other agents to there. You will get some override on that on their production. We'll talk stock options, right? With One Real, with one, and then residual income, right? And then anyone that we bring in or I bring in and anything that you do, right? Then we just rev share on that. And again, guys, I'm doing this like quick and dirty. I know there's a lot more nuance and details to it, but essentially that's how the conversation goes. And then, oh, guess what? These agents are going to get licensed too, because that was their biggest thing, so that they could get paid on the deals. So you're really just like an origination team. But that just for some, because I've gotten so many things like, hey, like, have you seen this or whatever? People haven't heard of it. And it was just message after message. And then finally, a buddy of my Jim said, hey, did you on that? And so, shout out to Carpinetti. And I'm like, oh, dude. So I posted about it. I'm like, I'm seeing this over. So I'm like, if you haven't got it, you'll see it pretty soon, right? And you could just see by how that post blew up. Everyone's like, yeah, I just got called. I got called last week. I got called. So they're doing a full push. And then it's funny because like one guy's like, well, they just got rid of their loan officers. I'm like, yeah, that's why they're doing the push, right? Because they got rid of the loan officers that you would call their traditional LOs, and they're creating this new environment. And so, so that's what the real situation is. But guys, this is what I'm trying to tell everybody, is that this isn't, if everyone's trying to do the playbook of what we did before, this is just a different, because it's just a different environment. Every major, with the exception of EXP to a certain extent, has their own lender now, their own partnerships, right? And now you have Redfin and Rocket, right? You have all of these different partnerships that are all built around trying to own that consumer, right? And the one thing I did want to touch on when recruiting, and I'll leave it at this. One of the highest posts in a Facebook group that was in that Facebook group at that time was one where I said, because someone was looking for retail companies, I said, here's a list of retail companies that people love and they check all the boxes that you want, right? And I listed them off. I was like, great, cross country, da 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 da. And then I said, here's a list of retail companies that I have people that I know that said they were the worst companies ever, right? It was cross country, it was rate and stuff like that. At the end of the day, the right fit for the right LO could be successful in any model at any company. There just has to be alignment.
Fraser, you are spot on, man. I have a couple points on this.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, so my Facebook comments, it's my settings tab, so mine don't get pulled in, but Sean McNeil, you are hilarious. I love you, buddy. I don't know if you're still listening, but yeah, I can't pull that comment in yet, but I swear to you, I would if I could. But we got right here, Sonia mining. They are mining the consumer. Yep. Yeah, I mean, yes, you're not wrong. It's a form of it. So look, I'm going to say something here just about my approach on recruiting in general. Okay, so here's the reality of it. All right, there isn't many different reasons why you want to leave a company. I'm going to walk you through it. You have the first loan officer. This is the loan officer where they believe that the grass is greener everywhere, and they bounce place to place to place until eventually they see themselves out. We see a lot of that, right? They're always resentful. It's never their fault. It's always the company fault. That's one aspect of it. Then you have the second aspect where it is the company. It really is. Like, you have an LO that has something about them. They have the energy, but they're not getting the leadership that they need. That's also fair. Then you have the next side of it, which is, I'm a top producer and I don't need anybody to help me anymore. So if you're at a company where they take 80 bips, 100 bips, but you realize that you're now at a place to where, hold on, I don't need much handholding anymore. You start to go, wait, I'm looking for the flat fee shops. So you're seeing a massive uptick in these flat fee shops. They're growing tremendously with massive producers. That's something that they're looking at. The next piece of it is you have people that want the teams. They want a different type of culture. They want accountability, and they're willing to give up more for it and sacrifice more, and they're willing to pay the bips. And so they find what works for them in the right environment. Those are basically the four types of loan officers that you're going to be dealing with at all points in time. So you have to really be true to yourself on what do I actually want out of this business. If you're not doing well at 4 locations in a row, it might be a you problem. I just want to make
Yep.
that very crystal clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you go to one company and you're like, okay, this leadership sucks and I don't like what's going on. I don't like the changes. Absolutely. It could absolutely be the leadership, could be the company. That's worth the change. But y'all, when it comes to the recruiting side of it, one, we know it's never going to just stop. But two, just truly sit down and figure out what makes sense to you. And by the way, if they have a downline, just ask. You might not mind. You might say, okay, I don't mind if somebody makes some money off me as long as I get a bulk of it. There are so many different ways to do business nowadays. And the beautiful part is the broker channel has all of them. So talk to people that you trust, talk to people that you like and know. And if you are truly unhappy, reach out to Frazier. Just have a conversation and just see what might make the best sense for you. But at the end of the day, y'all, just it's on you, right? It is on you. I don't think it's fair to blame you. You have the ability to get yourself out of any situation that you want. Blaming somebody for it is not going to help you. And the reason I'm so blunt about it is we're in commission sales. Like your mind has to be so dialed in constantly because you start at zero every month. So these excuses and what you think holds you back, but you continue to be in the industry it's not congruent, especially in a volatile market. You will exit this market if that is your mindset. And I don't want that to happen. So I
Thousand
love
percent.
that, Frazier. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I kind of walk through the different types of LOs out there right now.
Yeah. 100%.
All right, my friends. This week we have our questions. Frazier, I like the deep questions, and I think I was telling you, the more I get to know you, the more I get to hammer away at these questions. So are you ready? You will go first.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, number one, what's something you know today that you wish someone would have told you at 25?
Oh, oh, Jesus. Yeah, there's a lot of different things, right? And so, but here's what I would say, and this isn't like a me thing. This is more Hermosi said this, and it resonates so well. So as I creep up to 50 here, right? October is when I turn the big 50. Um, One thing that I've really appreciated about getting older is not caring about the things that I cared about like when I was younger, right? And Alex Ramosi talks about that. He's all one of the greatest things I could have done is have that 60-year-old mindset in my 20-year-old self. Meaning I don't care about the car I drive. I don't care. Like I go to the store. I don't care if I'm wearing socks and sandals, right? Like, I don't care if I'm doing the stuff that I might care about if I went out in public, or whatever. You know what I mean? I just don't care about those things. And you know what? None of that has hurt me. Just and again, because it's all superficial stuff. So I would go back to my 25-year-old self and say, at the end of the day, like, don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about all those things. Just be yourself and do you. That would probably be the biggest lesson. Be 50 at 25.
I
That's what I would say.
it's hard,
Yeah.
but it is. I feel like
Yep.
it's so hard to do that, man. I won't
Yep.
even lie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
Number two, what's something you've become less certain about as you've gotten older?
Oh man. Oh yeah. So this. Yeah. So as I got older, certain, and this kind of goes back to like something I would tell myself when I was 25, is I was a horrible leader. I wasn't a leader. I was a boss, right? And so growing up and in my 20s, I thought being a boss and leader were the same thing, right? So I was certain that this is how you ran a team, right? Not led a team, ran a team. This is how you managed a team, right? Do what I say do what I tell you to do, right? I don't care if it aligns with your purpose. You're getting paid to do what to do, right? I was a bit of a hard ass, right? And I was probably people that worked for me, when I was younger probably didn't have a very good time, right? And so I was certain that my way was the way, the right way. And as I got older, especially as I've gone through my own growth, is that there are a lot of different ways to success. And the one that's best served is the one where you're serving others.
You're the man. What's one belief you have that most successful people would disagree with?
Oh, I'll tell you right now. Well, I don't say most successful people, but I'll tell you about the ones that are more, the peacocks on LinkedIn and other places, right? Is that, and I hear this all the time, and I think it is one of the most, I think it is probably one of the worst pieces of advice to be given to other people, right? And I know some coaches out there and people leaders have said this, and I know if they're listening or whatever may rub them the wrong way, but it's true. And that is the worst piece of advice you could give anyone is that you cannot listen to people that aren't where you were trying to go. Right. Meaning, like, if you're like, I'm trying to be a $50 million a year producer, you better be in a room with only $50 million producers or 100, that type of mentality. Right. Now, I get it. And honestly, you could probably feed that into something that I probably would have bought into in my 20s, right? Before I knew better. But here's what I could tell you, right? I have learned a lot from people that are nowhere near where I am at or where I want to go, right? But I have learned that they have a piece, they figured out something that I haven't figured out yet, right? And that could be that one piece of a puzzle of someone that's not to, for lack of a better term, below me, that I learned something that piece of a puzzle that made me better. And I could tell you that with 100% confidence because it's happened, right? Someone that wasn't at my level or whatever, but if I would have just said I'm only listening to the people that are above me or whatever, no, right? Like, because also they're at the end, right? They're at the end. So they don't really think about the process. They think about where they're at now, and they're trying to give you like the cliff notes of like, this is how you do it. Yeah. But I got to have that journey. I got to have that experience to get there. So that's where I would say is that only listening to people that are at where you're at or where you're trying to go is probably the worst piece of advice you could get, because you're gonna miss information. You're gonna miss puzzle pieces that's gonna get you there quicker.
I'll keep going, but that's such a good one. What's harder, building wealth or keeping your character while you build it?
Oh, what's harder? Keeping your character.
I
I suffered from
100%
this
agree.
when I made a lot of money and when I was, doing all the things that I was doing, trying to be, Mr. Influencer, Mr. Gary V, and doing all that other stuff. Like, it's hard, right? You try to still be a good person, right? But it does mess with your character a little bit. And sometimes until you get dropped because of it, you don't know it at the time, right? And so that's what I would say is it's keeping your character while you're building it, because you get put in situations that you maybe not have had experience with, and you may make the wrong decision for the wrong reasons.
Last one. What's something you've changed your mind on that made your life better?
um Oh, I guess this is easy because we kind of talked about this with Cordis last week. What I've changed my mind on Laugh Better is um, that you have to sacrifice everything, right, to get what you want.
Yeah.
Do you need to sacrifice? Absolutely. Um, but I sacrificed a lot in my 20s with my youngest son and my family and everybody else. Now it created tremendous wealth at the time. But at the same time, I've changed my mind on that. And it goes back into leader too. Like, I was a relentless dog. I was ambitious. And if you were in my way, I stepped on your neck, your back, whatever I could to get where I was going. Right now, I didn't cheat. I didn't do underhanded stuff. But at the end of the day, like, you either got out of my way or you got run over, right? And I'm not that guy anymore. But growing up in my 20s, trying to achieve, trying to be like, I wanted, I had a goal to be an executive by a certain age and all these things. Um, like I thought that was the way that you had to do it. And it's definitely not the way that, and honestly, it's probably not not even the best way to do it.
No, and
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
shared some of
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
context with our community too, where
Yeah. Yeah.
the hang like just the management and working on yourself, like there's a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
stuff you had to do.
Yeah. 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 So awesome. All right. Put you in the hot seat. All right. So, what's one decision you've made that looked wrong at the time, but completely changed your life?
Going from being a bartender making like 65,000 a year to taking minimum wage, having to pass a test, and then living in commission sales, and now I'm still in the industry, so I
Yeah.
continue to do mortgages. But I was absolutely freaked out. I was 20
Yeah.
years old, just turned 21, and
Hmm.
I was listen, y'all, I was pretty good bartender, had a lot of regulars. Let's just say as a 21-year-old, I was having a lot of fun. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure you were. All right. So if someone followed you for 30 days but they weren't listening to anything you said, they didn't hear a word you said, what would they think your priorities are?
My faith, my family, my work, but then also my ADHD. Like I don't think people realize how much I build stuff.
Yep.
So like I love building stuff. I love doing like electrical work in the house. I just need to be doing something at all points in time. And so I think people would be very surprised on how much I love to build and how much my ADHD takes over. But I think in that specific order, that's what they would understand my priorities are.
Gotcha. Great answer. All right. So if everyone in America lived 30 days, right? Or sorry, not 30 days, 1 year. If everyone in America lived exactly like you for 1 year, right, would the country be better or worse?
Like, you always want to say better, but I don't know if people want to be in my head all the time. I really don't. Like I don't sleep. Like I don't sleep
Yeah,
much.
yeah,
I
yeah.
I work around the clock. I don't know that answer. I don't know. I don't think we'd have time to do anything else. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that'd be the case. We'd be dropping the ball somewhere else. So probably worse this time around. Probably worse.
Yeah, I'm glad that was your question, not mine. So, yeah, because I probably have to say the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. What's one thing that you hope your kids never have to learn the hard way, even though you did?
You don't have to be ashamed of everything that happens in your life. For
Yeah.
sure. Shame was huge. Like it's just big in the culture that I'm in.
Hmm.
Like it's a hab. They always say this is a hab. Hab means like that's embarrassing. You can't do
Hmm.
that. You're disgracing the family, or if you don't do X, Y, or Z. I never ever want my kids to have to deal with that ever, ever.
Yeah, yeah, and because you have family from the old country, as my
Tons.
as
Yeah.
as like my wife's family is from the old country. And that is like people don't understand. Like we could say, "Oh, that's embarrassing" or whatever. For that, just for me, it's like who
Oh,
cares?
very different.
Very, very different in families like that. So, like, I'm glad you brought that up. All right. So, what is the difference between confidence and conviction?
I love this one, man. People told me, Jonathan, you have the ability to have a sense of conviction when you speak when it comes to your voice. What I've learned over time though is my conviction sometimes would outweigh what the reality of the situation is. I am a good speaker, and so I do have the ability to raise my voice and really look you in the eyes and look into your soul. And the reality is I have to be very cautious with the words that I say, and I have to be very confident that I understand the subject that I'm talking about, because I have the ability to get out of turn in times and really take a conversation where I want, because of my ability to communicate and my ability to have conviction. So it's very important to have the confidence first, but you also need the knowledge. The knowledge should give you the confidence, and
Yep.
from there you can have conviction in the confidence that you're speaking.
Yep. Great answer.
All
Love
right,
it.
my friends, we appreciate y'all very much. Until next time, take care. This is Linked and Loaded. Happy Friday. And Dax, don't let me exit until. See you later.